welcome to the Mom Boss Mentor. And today I have our first guest speaker ever, which is so incredible. This lady is a complete rock star, and she's really going to help us taking that transition from a traditional 9 to 5 or secure job to entrepreneurship in 5 steps. And I gave her a challenge of keeping it around 15 minutes or less, because that's what we're all about here is information to help you level up in the pockets of your day. So Michele Davis is with the Boss podcast. And if you haven't taken a look, I'm going to encourage you to go and click the link in the comments, because she shares how she transitioned from that burnout or that feeling of being undervalued, unappreciated, working nonstop, having zero work-life balance and zero creativity as a manager. So she was an associate vice president, of a nonprofit. And in 2016, she made a switch that was pretty drastic, and I'll let her share a little bit about that transition to becoming an entrepreneur. So Michele, welcome to the Mom Boss Mentor. I'm so thankful for you. So want to tell us about that moment when you had that breaking point where you said, I'm done, and you left.
Absolutely. So it's funny because, prior to my whole entrepreneurial journey, I was, a mom. Then I was a divorced mom, single mom. But, I was a mom. I was previously married. And this was maybe a couple of years out of my divorce that I kind of look back on my life. It's like one of those times you have a reflection, like, what am I doing? Am I where I want to be? And my whole life, I kind of done what I thought I was supposed to do. I thought I was supposed to go to college. So I went to college, got my bachelor's degree, got my master's degree, found a good, stable job, right? And so, I loved my job at first. I loved my career, which was nonprofit services. I loved helping people. And I loved developing programs to help people because that was pretty much what I was primarily responsible for. But as time went on and a couple of decades went by, I found myself in my last nonprofit position. And I was in a situation where it was pretty toxic. And, here I had this high level position. I was associate vice president. I was responsible for about 35 people under my management. And I was overseeing a department that was responsible for about 1,000 clients in their case management services. And they were chronically ill individuals. And I was like, this is a high stress position. I was working 50 hours a week. And I found myself like walking away. It had gotten to that point where they were unfairly, doing some things and not giving me the support. They never set me up for success. And so when I compared myself to the other associate vice presidents, they didn't set me up for success in comparison to them. And so I walked away. And I remember sitting in my living room the day that I walked away. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't have a job. I don't have a whole lot of money. But it was something about being treated like that left me like where I felt I had no other choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so here I am, newly divorced, 2 years out of my marriage, sitting there on my couch trying to figure out what was next for me. Is this really where I wanted to be at my age, which was over 40? And I was like, no, this is not where I want to be. And I was like, what can I do? What do I really want to do in, life? It was like, what do I want to be when I grow up moment, even though I was over 40 and should be already grown, right? And so I decided I was going to start a business. And so funny enough, when I started my business, I I struggled to kind of think about what I was good at. So here I had this 20 plus year career behind me. Obviously, I was some good, over the years, right? Why couldn't I find skills within me that I could monetize? And so here I said, I'm going to start a business. I had no idea what that looked like or what that was going to be. I had no entrepreneurs in my family. I didn't have a mentor or anyone that I could just call up and say, well, I want to start a business. What do I do? Those people didn't exist in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I embarked on a lot of on a journey, and I started off in some MLM opportunities, multi-level marketing, and then I ventured off into branding, social media, and website design. And then I found myself, reinventing myself again because I found a lot of the clients before they needed branding, they needed to really have mentorship to develop their business because, we are inundated with business ideas online. We're taught like, this is what makes you money and this is what you need to do. And so we end up doing those things instead of the things that may make, not only give us fulfillment, but also generate income for us too. And so a lot of times we're looking outward for the type of business we should start, and we should be looking inward. So through that whole process, I developed this 5-step process. And it gets more in depth, but I'm keeping it to 15 minutes because I know we have busy moms here. And so I title this particular segment The Boss Within, Discovering the Boss Within. And so we think, even though we've made a contribution, to our workplace, we've made a contribution to our spouse and, to our family, we're raising kids, we think we have no skills. And that's so not true. There's a lot, we're human beings, we have strengths, we have so much richness within us, that we can deliver and help someone else solve a problem. And so I'd love to take your audience through these 5 steps.
That would be amazing. And before you do, I just want to give you a kudos and a shout out because to say like I'm done and to get to that breaking point with like no plan and no like nest egg of sense with the child, that is something that probably a lot of people are scared to do. And yet you went ahead, you made that leap. And here you are, a couple of years later having success. And so just reassuring other people that you don't have to have it all figured out. It's good to have some steps along the way figured out,
Yes.
but that it is possible. And I love the looking inward. So thank you for that reminder. Okay, so let's get to the 5 steps because I'm super excited to take notes.
Okay, great. So everyone should, before you get started, you want to definitely take out a piece of paper because in several pieces of paper, because I'm going to take you from a transition where you're starting off with a blank pieces of paper. And then by the end, it's going to be all filled up. So I'm excited. So this is a process that I help my clients with in the services that I offer. And it's because it's something that was helpful to me because again, I had this bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and 20 plus years in a career, and I struggle to think about what I was good at. And a lot of that is self-esteem. I'm thinking, I'm not good enough. How can I make a business off of anything? What do I know? Right. So I'm sure I'm not alone in feeling that way. So the first thing I did, and the first thing I want you to do is to get in the mindset of, not filtering anything as we move through this process and really brainstorming and doing what I call a brain dump because so often we limit ourselves, we limit our ideas before they ever make it onto the paper. And so we're not going to do that here. We're going to remove the filters, we're going to remove the limitations. You're going to go, from conception to, a possible business idea. So the first thing you want to do is you want to identify your superpowers. So your superpowers are typically things that, it's skills you possess. I don't want you to get into, whether you hate the skill or whatever, but these are your passions. What are you passionate about? What skills do you have? What are people told you you're good at? And oh, you're really good at doing that, or this is, oh, you're such an expert, or what do people come to you, what problems do people come to you to solve? So that's all on this list, as well as your experiences. So and a lot of times we discount these. We think about, we don't think of our own experiences as things that we can monetize. What achievements have you had in your personal life? This is about, your expertise, period, as a person, as a human being. And think about your interests. Think about things you've overcome in your life. Have you overcome, significant weight loss? Have you overcome a struggle with your child? All this is where you just completely brain dump and put everything on paper. And then you want to establish how you can help people.
Mhm.
And you do that by looking at everything you came up with and link those things to actual problems. Because when we think about ourselves as entrepreneurs, we have to think of ourselves as solving problems.
Mhm.
People have to look to us for the solution. And so you want to look at everything on that list and you want to think about what problems am I seeing? So let's say for me, because I know you serve moms, my daughter was born with jaundice and she struggled to, they fed her formula in the hospital. So it was like a struggle when it came time for breast milk. And so, so if you have a story about like even your motherhood, like what you did to overcome and, those are all things you want to think about. Don't think about, filtering anything out. Don't think about, oh, I can't make money off that. Don't allow yourself to limit yourself and to limit your mindset. So just think freely. Think about what problems you can solve based on all the passions, the interests, the experiences, and the things you've overcome, and transition them into, what kind of problems do you see yourself solving. Then the third thing you want to do, and the third step is you want to refine that list. So at this point, you can either do this by circling the problems you can imagine yourself solving, because clearly you're going to look at that list and you're like, I don't even, yeah, that's an interest, but I don't even know if that's an interest anymore. I'm an evolving woman. I want to do something different, and allow yourself to even filter in some of those things that you may have discovered, things that you probably put on the shelf that think you may want to do too. Do you deep down, do you want to aspire to be a photographer or something else, whatever the case may be. Make sure you put those on the list too. And then you want to refine it, either by circling, things you can imagine yourself doing. And then the next thing you want to do is, because now at this point, you've identified what you're passionate about, what you're interested in, what you're experienced in, and what you've overcome. You've taken that and you've linked it to an actual problem. You've identified what problems you actually enjoy, things that you can envision yourself doing. And then now you are actually going to identify services that you can provide
Mhm.
using the list of things that you've already, problems you want to solve. How can I solve this problem? What kind of service can I offer? Can I offer coaching? Can I offer some other kind of service, to help people solve this problem? And then finally, you want to vet and validate, because just because you're interested and you have this wonderful experience that you want to help other people overcome, you have all this expertise, doesn't mean it's going to be, profitable. So
Mhm.
then you want to just validate, through market research, through looking at gaps in the market, seeing who else is providing similar services, and seeing what unique perspective you can bring to the market. And then you want to validate it because you have to test your idea.
Because just because other people are doing it doesn't mean they're going to do it the way you can do it or with your experience. So it's really good. I think at that initial fifth step, having somebody that's going to lift you up is really important, or surrounding yourself by a supportive community. And so
Exactly.
I know in one of your podcasts, you shared how, it's so overwhelming when you are launching to look for the right coach or the right program. And so, what are some suggestions? I know that we're almost out of time, but what are some suggestions or key things that you encourage people to think about or consider when they're looking for, you know, taking that step and looking for that support?
I actually, they can start with your group. Your group is awesome. It's awesome what you're doing, Kate, helping moms, level up into their entrepreneurial dreams and, get the freedom that they deserve as moms. But there's other Facebook groups as well. I recommend coaching once you kind of have a sense of what you want to do, so you can choose the right coach. I also recommend, finding like-minded people, because that's key, because you can find people within your family and within your friend group that could end up deflating your dreams. They'll tell you that's a crazy idea. If I had told someone I was going to quit my job,
You want to
they would
talk
have
you out of
talked me
it?
out of it. Yes, yes, they would not have supported me. And if I had told them like kind of the things I was always thinking, they wouldn't have supported me either. So,
Love to highlight what services you offer for people if they're like,
sure.
she's my gal, like she's my person. Where
Yes,
could they find you and what services do you offer?
absolutely. So, the first is you can catch my podcast, The Boss Experience, and it's DA, Boss Experience Podcast. And then I also offer two programs, two coaching programs. One is an accelerated 1 day program, but we do additional work prior to that 1 day, but that's called CEO Blueprint Academy. And they can learn more about CEO Blueprint Academy at ceoblueprintacademy.com. And that's for service, individuals that are interested in developing a coaching business, a consulting business, or if they're interested in developing a course. And then I also have Phenomenal Boss Academy, which is a 3-month coaching program. And so for that, they can just, for the Phenomenal Boss Academy, the doors aren't open yet, but if you want to get on the wait list, you can reach out to me.
Oh, perfect. And we'll have them also in the notes below. So people know want to just click a link and click a link or copy and paste because that's my jam. Oh my gosh, you are a wealth of knowledge. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for your time, sharing your 5-step process to breaking free. And I am so excited for those that are going to go and now follow your show on your own podcast,
Yes.
follow you on social because you're a wealth of knowledge. So thank you so much, Michele. So appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for having me. And thank you, everyone, for listening.